Paul could feel, I love this about him. He is so in tune with me. He could feel that I was not in my usual positive space. And he said, honey, what's wrong? And it was like a dam broke.
Welcome to Women Being Loved, a weekly podcast and upcoming book series to help you and other women 35 and beyond attract deep, passionate, lasting love while honoring your authentic self. I'm Tadra, your host.
Hello, lovelies. I hope you're enjoying life and being your own great love. This episode is a bit more personal than usual, and I'm warning you right now, I may get emotional, but I'm hoping the content will be valuable to you in some way. So, recently, two people said to me that my life looks perfect and everything is beautiful. I was kind of surprised because I feel like I share a lot of hard stuff online. I mean, yes, I share good stuff, but I feel like I definitely share some hard stuff too. I tend to be a person who like tries to lean into like more positivity. I don't always succeed, obviously, but maybe that's what people are responding to. I don't know. But to set the record straight, you ready for it? I have problems. Yes, I do. I have problems, just like everybody else. One of the big ones right now is finances. So I am building a media company, and you've probably heard me, if you've been here before, talk about the book that I'm writing. That's just a small part of what I am trying to create over here. And let me tell you, things are rough, y'all. They're rough financially, and yeah, it's a lot. That helps me flow into the next area that I want to talk about, my relationship with my husband. So, grading on a curve, like in comparison to every other relationship I've ever had, yes, it is perfect. It is. But looking at it on its own, right? Just a standalone entity, we have difficult moments, right? That's to be expected. You're bringing two people together. It's not going to be all like rainbows and kittens. Just last week, we had a really big argument. Now, that rarely happens for us because we both are talkers. Like, we talk out what bothers us. And honestly, he taught me how to do that. I didn't know how to do that. I thought people came together and you just screamed until you both got tired, So I've learned that you talk things out and you talk them rationally. And, one thing that's really important for us is that we are never, ever trying to purposely hurt each other with our words. So arguments aren't about getting in these jabs and hurting the other person. That's just not us. Like, even back in the day when I would, scream because I thought arguments had to be dramatic and you had to get your point across, I still wasn't purposely trying to like slay the other person. I was just thinking I had to be louder and bigger to make my point. But all of that said, do the words that we speak to each other, like me and my husband, do those words sometimes hurt anyway, like even without the intention to do that? Absolutely. Absolutely. Part of that is because sometimes the most truthful thing that you could hear still hurts. And you need time to process it and not like be defensive or angry. You need time. In my case, I need time to remind myself that my husband is on my side, that even if he says something that is maybe insensitive, which can happen with neurodiverse partners, but he doesn't mean that. And last week's fight was over finances. And it was mainly my fault. I will say that. I am HSP, which is highly sensitive person. And it is actually something different about our brains. It's not just oh, I'm sensitive and I cry over everything. No, my husband, as I said a moment ago, is also, he has a neurodiverse brain. And sometimes when I will just speak on me, when I'm overwhelmed with light and sound and emotions and even hunger, that hangry stage, I can have a meltdown. I can. I know it. If it goes too far and there's a lot of stress involved, I can and have gotten physically ill and ended up in the hospital. So I have to be really careful. And I will say about my husband that sometimes he goes through the emotional parts of that as well. So he has to be careful. But what we do is we come back together and we discuss what has happened. It's like, okay, meltdown, maybe tears, even whatever. But like at some point we're like, okay, what just happened? Why did we behave that way? We really try to understand how to solve what the real problem was. Because we know we've been together 16 years now. So we know that it's not each other. It's something else. He chewed too loudly is I'm scared and frustrated because of this other thing, but now I'm going to yell at him for chewing, And so it's always with us the stress of something from the outside that we are not handling well. Speaking of not handling things well, this week I really overbooked myself with meetings and responsibilities. And as I've said, I have an emotional bucket, and that bucket is a very specific size, and it can hold only a certain amount of mental and emotional stress. I also have an autoimmune disease, and it can be rough at times, everything from food sensitivity to just feeling awful and having all my joints ache and just feeling like I can't move. And it can be a lot. And so all of that combined with my own, how do I put it, not paying attention this week, I way overfilled my bucket. So the first thing that happened was I had a very stressful conversation with someone who I felt, and I stress this, maybe this person didn't mean this, but I felt that she was attempting to make me small. I already struggle with that, like within myself. So when someone else does it, I have the fight of my life not to spiral. I also had to reschedule an important meeting last minute yesterday. So then I had to apologize to that woman, it sounds so negative. I didn't mean it negatively. I had to apologize to the woman I had a meeting with. And then I also had to deal with the voice in my head that just, was like, oh, look at you. You're being flaky. You're being unreliable. And can I just tell you, that is so far from the truth. I am not like that. I show up 20 minutes early for things. I double check everything. I really go overboard in this area because I never, ever want the reputation of being someone who doesn't value other people's time. And it really pisses me off when people don't value my time. So, this is an important area for me. But it does not stop that voice in my head. And then finally, I started a Women in Business private group with 4 other really amazing women that I met on Facebook. And it's great. I mean, we met for the first time yesterday and it went so well. But afterward, I was like, did the other women think that was a mess? Did they hate it? Will they even show up next week? Did I seem like a crappy meeting leader? Was I insensitive? Should I said this other thing? Oh my God, it was so bad. And that's the thing. I can't speak for anybody else, but once like there's one area of doubt that seeps into my mind, then other things just start piling on. It's like being in the school courtyard and you get in a fight with one emotion and then all the emotions pile on top of you and tell you how shitty you are as a person. So I'm just being really vulnerable right now. And I'm hoping that somebody out there is like, oh girl, me too. I understand. So by the time I crawled into bed last night, Paul could feel, I love this about him. He is so in tune with me. He could feel that I was not in my usual positive space. I wasn't even in a neutral space. I was in a I hate me space. And he said, honey, what's wrong? And that's all he said. And it was like a dam broke. And I was just like, here are all the things I suck at and I'm pretending I'm good at. And this woman did this thing to me today. And, and it was just like, and it was crazy. I imagine he was trying to keep up, but it was necessary and it was good. And I was like, obviously it was right there under the surface, just like, I'm trying to be a big girl. I'm trying to deal with it, but it all hurts and it's all too much. What did my husband do? Okay, y'all. He cuddled me and he went through 20 years, 20 of the big, beautiful moments that I created in my life when I shined. He remembers stories I told him from my days in New York City when I worked in fashion in my 20s, and I took these huge chances and I showed up boldly to advance myself and to achieve my dreams. He was like, remember that time? Remember when you... He also recalled the times that I pivoted from really awful careers that were just sucking the life out of my soul and created something that I loved and then excelled at this new thing with like no skill set, like no background. Obviously I had the skills, but I didn't have the credentials, I guess, the social proof that I could do it. But I was like, screw that, I'm going to do it. And, he reminded me of how much I wanted to be a magazine editor. And that time that I showed up at the magazine office and just asked to meet the editor-in-chief because I had been emailing and calling her for like a month and she wasn't responding. And I did. I ended up being an editor at that magazine. What else? He reminded me that I led a writers group with my church and that I helped two of the women write their books. I didn't help them write it. I encouraged them and gave them edits and things like that. But they wrote their books and they had their books published and they're selling. And also that I mentored a lot of aspiring young women who wanted to be writers. And now they're writing for like major magazines. I don't even remember everything, but yeah, he just reminded me of all of these things that I did even before he came into my life that I just in high moments shared with him like, oh, here's this, I feel amazing because I did this. And he just stored all that away and brought it back out when I needed it. There's a part in the Bible, somewhere in the Old Testament, I don't remember where God says to remind each other of the things you've overcome when things are hard. And I think it's really important to be able to do that for ourselves because, you're not going to always have someone else there to do it. And sometimes I can do it for myself. Yesterday was not one of those days. I've always had clusters of friends who've cheered me on, and I feel really blessed for that. I've never had the people in my life who really should have been my support system be there in the way that they should have shown up. But you know what? I've accepted that. But it's hard to explain how incredible it is when it's the person you're most intimate with. When that person Okay, y'all, I'm trying to pull this together. When that person comes beside you and they say, you know what? I'm not going to let you forget how badass you are and what amazing things you've already done. So this thing that you are battling right now, this thing that feels so huge and challenging, you will get past this. You will. And you will have lessons from it. I feel really blessed to have that in my husband. And if you don't have that right now, I'm agreeing with you, joining in your manifesting to attract someone who sees you and uplifts you. If the person you're in a relationship with right now, like a romantic relationship, you know what, even friendships, if those people are tearing you down instead of building you up, listen to me. You deserve better than that. Do you hear me? You deserve better than that. And I hope you find the courage to do whatever it is that you need to do in your situation. It may be counseling, it may be therapy, or maybe it's leaving. Maybe it's leaving and making space in your life for the good people that you deserve. Only you know what the best choice is. I'm not trying to pretend I know. I'm not telling you dump everybody out of your life. All I'm saying is I want to see you happy, sis. I really do. And if you need to clean house to be happy, then you do that. Okay, I got a little preachy there. Sorry. And I'm all snotty. And I told you, I tried to go through this earlier and I just couldn't get through it without crying. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to record it and it is what it is. So that's all I have today because I'm doing Friday Light. I need this weekend, y'all, as a mental health day, like days, all of them, all the days. And I am going to 2 art events this weekend with my husband because he's trying really hard to become a part of the art scene here in Berkeley, California. He is an artist. And I'm always trying to meet new people, make new friends, tell people about my book, you know. So yeah, that's our weekend. I pray that you have a wonderful, blessed weekend. I will see you soon. And I haven't done this in a while, but if you feel led to, please don't feel pressured. But if you feel led to, I would really very much appreciate if you could help support this podcast. I don't have enough listeners to get advertising. And honestly, I hate advertising in podcasts, so I probably won't ever do that. But if you can spare anything, $5, whatever, the link will be in the show notes as to where you can do that. Thank you so much. I love spending time with you. I wish I could do it more frequently. Life is just really busy, as I'm sure it is for you as well. But love you. I will see you soon. Bye.